Okay, the last lab. This is the lab on heat engines, so lab number 27. And something we know about heat engines is we're going to have a hot reservoir that is at some hot temperature, and we're going to have a cold reservoir that's going to be at some cold temperature, and the natural flow of heat is to flow from the hot reservoir down to the cold reservoir. Now, what we can do is we can pick off some of that by putting a heat engine in right here, and we can actually do a little bit of work. Now we do have some special names for this. This is going to be the heat that flows out of the hot reservoir, and this is going to be the heat that flows into the cold reservoir. And something that we know is if this is the heat engine right here, is the heat that flows in has got to be equal to the heat that flows out. So here we have the heat that flows in, and here we have the heat that flows out. These two flavors right there. So they have to add up at the end of the day. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure these heats and see if energy is conserved. And so that's going to be this guy, and this guy. And we can also measure the temperatures of the hot and the temperatures of the cold, and we can calculate the efficiency. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to be the difference between the hot temperature reservoir and the cold temperature reservoir divided by the temperature of the hot temperature reservoir. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop open this simulation right over here, and we're going to click on begin, and what we can do is we can measure the temperature. Theirs is upside down for mine. I like to think of energies flowing downhill, but hey, I can't control everything. So this is the heat that flows out of the hot, this is the heat that flows into the cold, and this is the work that's done. And we can measure the temperatures. There's the temperature of the cold, and we can measure the temperature of the hot, and we can just do those calculations as I suggested. And we can also mess around with the temperatures right over here, and the the heat is obviously going to flow. It's kind of like making your hill steeper or less steep, and the work is also going to change. So I have you go ahead and change the temperatures a little bit and repeat the process. See if energy is a conserved process, and go ahead and calculate the efficiency of the engine once again.